All right, here we go. Just going to bring myself up here. Anybody that's watching this video, boring. But if you're live, maybe we'll have a good time. Got to come in and hang out, you know. Hey, Vince. Vince, I'm right there with you, okay? All right, so what are we doing? Let me just put a few things away here, and let me adjust this, because you guys don't want to be looking at me. At whatever I'm working on. Hey, Larry. Good morning for grinding chains. Yeah, you're right. Probably, I have a few to do. Which ones are you grinding? Hey, Nikki. Yeah, Nikki, if you want, we can put together a clutch cover like now. I think I have one sitting around. If you got it, you got it, and we won't worry about it. Just wanted to clean that up to make sure it does hold. These bolt holes are grungy. They'll come up. Well, I got a whole bunch of tool blanks off to the machinist, so we're definitely going to move along on that. 300 blanks. Larry, how long are the chains you're working on? I just have 20s here to work on. .24s, yeah. So these still hold. That's good. There's just something on my mind here. What do we got? I've got this to work on. Let's do... The real question is, can I get this spring in here without it going boing all over the place, you know? The odd spark while cutting wood would be, you mean off a chain? I've seen chains spark. Yeah, you don't even need to hit metal. Oh, shoot. Good morning, John. Did I wake you up? I know. If you just grab this and just spin it, it works, but... Let's see, will this go in there? Well, maybe as long as I hold it there, it'll be fine. I don't know. Morning, Gavin. Gavin, did you use your tool yet? Start from the outside and wind it inwards. I've done that, and I've actually used hemostats on here to hold it as I go. And it takes me a bit, but it does work. This one... See, with this, I can't quite get this... Can't quite get that over the hump there. So I'm probably going to have to release it and see if I can retroactively do that. Need 3 hands for this. There. Perfect. That's it. It worked. Ta-da! Okay, now, next, don't forget this funny thing. Well, I'll put a little bit of grease in here, why not? Grease on here, grease here. So it'll go. We know it'll go. Okay. Next, some rope. Covered over fast. Yeah. Scott Ryan. Are the parts using OEM or aftermarket? The spring is an aftermarket spring. It's Highway. For something like this, I don't think that's a problem. This cover piece is OEM. This, I think, is aftermarket. And again, I don't really see, with this, I don't really see the problem using it aftermarket. It's a pretty robust part, so not an issue there. One of the things that Walt has said, and I'll paraphrase, and he uses the term moving target. So a lot of aftermarket parts are indeed moving targets. You just don't know what you're going to get. One time it'll be a good part, the next time it won't be. You know? So you do have to be careful with that. Let's line this up and see. Use a little more length there. Let me go a little further. That was not the best cutter. Knipex Dykes. Very nice. Nice tool. And just, oh yeah, so this cover is OEM. I do prefer OEM for these covers rather than the aftermarkets. It's these studs that end up, if you have a fairly high compression saw, then you can actually rip the stud out of the aftermarket ones. And mainly I'm thinking about 372s, not 394s, because I've used the 394 aftermarket ones before, and they seem to be okay. The OEM ones are just a little bit better. There's more glass fiber reinforcement in these, so it's got to go in just the right way. There. Okay. You pre-wind it down a bit. And out the hole here. Yeah, I'll hit this with the heat. What I'm gonna do is do this, do that. I usually kind of double knot this. I go one. Now, more length here. 1, 2. Tuck that in. Yeah, there's some aftermarket support for the 394, but really not enough. My opinion, not enough. almost there. Let's get this on. This is just an old screw that I had laying around for this. Stock, you know, if you're running a gasket, 150, 160, yeah. This one, this is going to be in the 185, 190 range, I think. Obviously, I haven't tested it, but I think that's where it's going to end up. That should do. Let me get a lighter. There. I've seen just base gasket deletes get in the 190 range. So on these things. Okay, so that's ready to go. But you can't put it on yet. And I'll show you the reason. The gray piece that goes here for the carburetor needs to be in before you put this in. And really the carburetor and everything needs to be attached before you do that. So this right now is as far as we can take that. So at least that's done. This part, we might as well get up and running here. Just really need to attach the dog, and then it'll be good. James, what am I doing now? Well, you know that I never know what I'm doing. I'm just, you know, following my nose here. So I'm putting together the last of two 394s here that I was working on. And just to mention it to everybody again, these are for sale. So if anybody is interested, let me know. Obviously, I'm going to sell these, you know, as running units, but yeah. They're darn little bolts. I'm going to show you guys a trick here. possibly. Good. Okay. So I really like having complete saws. Saws that are not complete drive me berserk. Or at least, as complete as it can be. Check out these bolts. I got these from HL Supply. I think they are slated for 555s. Don't actually know what they are for 555, but look at that. They fit there. The aftermarket chain brake on Walt's video. Which one? Will you take a 4-party post-dated out-of-state check for a saw? No. No. Morning, Brian. The aftermarket chain brake. The aftermarket chain brakes do work, but there's a couple of issues with them as far as I can see. So the aftermarket chain brakes are this part's. Let me hang on. Let me get one because I do have it. So we can look at this. So here's the aftermarket handle, and the thing with the aftermarket handles is they are not as strong as the OEM ones. They crack like right here. So they're just not as strong, again, probably because they don't have as much glass fiber reinforcement. If they made these as strong, you'd have an awesome part. This part, the actual metal part, I don't have a problem with this at all. There's a little bit of extra overspray on the paint here, but this is actually a highway part. This is fine. You get a couple nicks. Who cares? The metal part is reasonably robust. I don't have a problem with this, but with the Farmertech ones, the one thing that they have, they put a 372 spring in here instead of a 394 spring. So this trips too easy. No outer bar guide. So yeah, I'm not sure that you really need the outer bar guide. You mean the one here? Are we talking about the one here, Nikki? I have them. This morning, I started watching the video this morning. I didn't get all the way through Walt's video. So some of the Chinese saws issues you never encounter. With one oversensitive, not enough. Not enough gap for big hands this way. Only on the 272 I encountered that. The 272 I encountered that. So I just changed to a 394 handle and it made plenty of space. That's in a video somewhere. This morning the Holzheimer 372 kept firing every 2 minutes. I don't know what that means. It was firing all over the place. I think you just said it was going off every 2 seconds. Oh, the chain brake was going off every 2 seconds. Yeah, the spring might not be quite as robust as it needs. That's all. You need to have a real heavy spring in there so it doesn't, Got it. So anyway, we can actually build one of these up if you guys want. So always nice to have an extra one around, but you know, whatever. I have the aftermarket brake handle here. I'm pretty sure my 272 still has the aftermarket brake handle on it. It works fine. It's just weak, and so I learned pretty quickly, don't take it out in 10-degree weather, especially because right here is where I have the muffler eggs. I have a really big muffler opening in that thing, and the muffler is darn close to the plastic. So you have 10 degrees outside and a hot muffler, and it makes for something that breaks. So these little nuts are not necessarily easy to find. I'll show you what I mean. So here's the lock nuts that I buy off eBay, and I bought a pile of them, so I have a pile of them, but the lock nuts will not fit in there. Here, let me bring this down just a shade. But there's another trick. So here is an aftermarket part that works really well. I'm going to break this out anyway. This is the chain catcher. These are the aftermarket Farmertech chain catchers. And guess what they come with? An M5 nut. Sorry, you guys can't see that. Hang on. Hi, Ellie. So they actually come with an M5 nut, and it'll work fine for that application. Do I need to use the OEM nuts? No. I can if I want. Will I? Yeah, I guess I'll use the OEM nuts for this particular job. But the nuts have to be non-flanged, essentially, in order to actually work here. So here's the outer dog, and then we need some screws. They cannot be too long. If you make them too long, then they overreach, essentially, and they'll go into the bar or something like that. So yeah, that's the length. Another job you need like 3 hands for. And this is also for sure something you use Loctite on, because I don't want these ever coming out. You don't want the dog coming loose. You don't want these coming out. And the nuts are captured, obviously, so you don't have to hold them on the back side. What brand of log splitter? James, I actually don't have an opinion on that. I'm sorry. My dad has a log splitter. He's had it for a long time. I doubt you could find whatever it is all over again. So in that sense, I really don't actually have an opinion on it. This one will be okay. Something with power. Especially if you're cutting something like elm. That stuff comes out like string cheese. Right, so you don't want the bolt coming through there. That's all. Over here, will it matter? Will interfere with the chain guide. I can use one slightly shorter. Give the wife a new axe. So, here's the free movement. There's quite a bit, about an inch up top here. And I'm not going to well, I don't want to activate it. When I put it on, I'll activate it and show you. I always build my own. I have 3-point splitter, go for $100. Put a 14 horsepower Wisconsin from a lawn tractor on it. Depends on your budget, skill set. Building, you get what you want. Yeah. If you know how to work the metal, it makes sense to build it. Assuming you have access to a fairly inexpensive hydraulic cylinder, you can manufacture all kinds of stuff with random, fairly high horsepower motors. But then you still need the hydraulic pump. What's one of those? $250? Just lost it. There we go. Is that too short? Oh, that's exactly right. Okay. Nikki, we'll look at it again here when I get it on the saw here. We can certainly do that. Yeah, that's a short one that comes through anyway. Those are tight. Okay. So let's look for an outer bar guide. Is that what you're wondering? I think I have it. Yeah. I thought these were outer bar guides, but maybe not. No, these are inner. These are inner bar guides. Those are just like the nicer ones, though. I'm going to put that there. Well, I guess I don't. I thought these were the outer bar guides. They're not. I really don't see the point to the outer bar guide, especially when you have this piece. So Yeah, Vince, if you can pick up a hydraulic pump cheap, then that's awesome. And then you just put a couple of Lovejoy connections on there and a nice big motor, and you got it. Made in the shade. Okay, so this is basically ready to go. Put this over here. Here. So now that we're on the saw, if you hit it, it takes a little bit of force to do, and then obviously quite a bit of force to release. But that mechanism feels right, you know? Yeah, I have seen the outer ones, but I'm not so sure that it really makes a whole hoot of difference. The inner dog here. So I'm actually going to use my flange nut on this, and I'm going to save this little nut. Just because that's me. Yeah, James, if you got the pump, then you just find a motor and get some metal and start welding. You know what's really cool? I've seen the 4-way and the 6-way stars, the star splitters. What's the brand? Wolf or whatever, Timberwolf, that makes those. But if you and they have like the hydraulic, like the actual thing that does the splitting. So that whole piece with the star or the 4-way or the 6-way, it's on a hydraulic, so it goes up and down. You can adjust it up or down as you adjust it up, down, whatever you need to do for the center of the log, and then hit the ram and go. So it depends on how fanatical you are about building a firewood processor and how much firewood you use. But I think like the Timberwolves, the ones that have that 6-way star and the ones with the lift on there, so you actually have a lift that lifts the log up for you because it's on a horizontal split. Those are like $6,000. So, might pay to make one. Okay, next thing actually is the muffler. Don't forget the rubber thing on the muffler. This is brand new OEM part. Now you can get really fanatical about matching, doing the port matching and everything on here. That's fine. Looks good. Your exhaust gasket goes on next. Then the muffler. And then don't forget your support. Both saws, same heat shield. Nikki, 394, 395 use the same heat shield. And these highway aftermarket mufflers are pretty good, so don't really have a problem with them. For those guys that are watching, one of the benefits or one of the ways you can help my channel is to click on the links in my usual chainsaw videos, not my live stuff, but my usual chainsaw videos. I have a link, an affiliate link to HL Supply. If you go find one of those videos and click on the link, it means that if you buy something from HL Supply, I get credit for it. So that does help me buy cool stuff to show you guys, you know. And it costs you nothing extra. And full disclosure on that, I have the affiliate link, yes, but I'm allowed to say whatever I want. So if a part sucks, it sucks. Now, nice thing is HL Supply is carrying more OEM parts these days, so that does make things a little bit easier. "14 horsepower Wisconsin idles or anything. 24-inch maple motor idling. Nice to have. Vince, isn't that nice where you finally have a piece of equipment that really is just doing its thing, and it's in this wonderful, I don't know. I use the example of here as opposed to at the extremes. So often we're running equipment at the bleeding ragged edge of its ability. Like chainsaws, even most of the time you're running the full RPM. Most people have dull chains. You end up running these things at the ragged edge of what they're actually capable of. And tractors, these guys that are trying to lift super heavy stuff with these tiny tractors, they're running everything right at the limit of the equipment. Isn't it so nice to run a piece of equipment just well within its comfort zone, and it just got to last, forever? It's just so much better. Get a splitter with a trash motor, junk the motor, put your own in. If you can find one of those, Vince, that's awesome. More power to you. Got a lot of hickory split. Oh, cool. Plan it or wing it. Nikki, I'm usually the wing it guy. Of course, I end up taking stuff back apart, but whatever. Gavin, I'll have to do that next time, Matt. I have a 440 and a 660 will be here today. Nice. All right, what do I have next here? I found the support, so let's do that. So the support and all the 4 nuts for the support and the 2 nuts for the muffler here have to go in at the same time, basically. This is a spot where I don't mind using my steel screws. And sometimes you do have to modify these because, well, you just drop the motor, you know. I dropped it 35 thousandths or whatever it was, so. I don't know. What screws do I use here? Short guys. Use these short guys here. So I'm just putting the mounting bracket here on for the muffler. $350 yeah, well, you make it. Yeah, you get a 346 support and cut off one of the legs and just use it. That's what I got on this one over here, and it's a good thing I did. You know, if you're rebuilding these darn things, you got to do your bolt checks. You know, a lot of guys just don't do bolt checks after a fresh rebuild. They just go out and run them and think that they're going to be fine. It's really not the case, you know. You got to do the bolt checks. Don't really have a choice. Do I work on other people's saws? Yes, I do, James. But for the most part, I already have enough of a customer base that, like, 2 guys, that's all that I need. And I'm busy. And truth be told, I have a new job now, so I need to focus on that. And I got to get rid of all this stuff and focus on the new job. So I'm really trying to cut back on saws. Just the way it is. I think the way to do it, Larry, is just to quote more money. You know? The amount of money that saws bring in working on them is just tiny. It just is. It's tiny. And the risk is too high because if something goes wrong, you know. The tree service guys just go out and run these things, and they don't even pay attention to anything. It runs or it doesn't, you know. Drives me berserk, but it's the way that it is. Like, you know, you got to check the head bolts every now and again, especially after a fresh rebuild. They don't do anything to them. Yeah, nothing. All right, so now we can put the dog on. See, even this one runs into the muffler right here. Again, don't look, guys. Your muffler's now modded. Good. All right, that's fine. These even the OEM ones, they're tight. They're just tight. There's no need for the muffler to be that tight. You can make it a shade smaller, you know, guys? Can you put a 12-inch bar on a Farm Boss? Put whatever length bar you want on it. Doesn't mean it's going to work. So this is a case bolt. This is not, but this is a case bolt over here. See, with this bar plate, you don't really need the plastic piece here. So what do I do? Take the plastic off? You can grind the plastic down, but then what's the point in having it? See? Yeah, there's really not much. So if I'm going to use the big bar plate, which is fine, then you get rid of the plastic. Yeah, Vince, that would be fun. Get like a 16-inch bar with some 404 chain, and a like a 9-pin rim. That would rip, huh? There you go. Okay, so essentially that side's good. James, you can use a saw, but and a bigger rim if you want, but you don't necessarily need to shorten the bar in order to do that. Just put a large rim on it and don't cut. Put an 8-pin rim on that thing and just don't cut anything that's bigger, otherwise you'll bog it too quickly. If you got a 20-inch bar on it, then leave the 20-inch bar on. You know? All right, I need the top handle eventually. I don't necessarily need that right now. And basically the carburetor, but I don't have the... Yeah, if you got a lot of small stuff to buck, then put a bigger sprocket on there. So this is running a 7-pin right here, but you know, if you're running a 36-inch bar, that's fine with a 394. You want to run a 20-inch, 24-inch bar with a 394, put an 8-pin or even a 9-pin sprocket on here. The chain will go faster, and these things have plenty of power. So the equivalent would be for a smaller saw, you know, for say a 455 Rancher, you can run an 8-pin rim on there. They have spur gears instead of pinions, but whatever. So if you were running an 8-pin, then just don't cut anything bigger than like 8 inches. Even if you got a 20-inch bar, just don't cut anything bigger than 8 inches. You know, you don't have to have a 12-inch bar on the thing to cut short stuff. See you, Nikki. And Vince has a point too. Yeah. In fact, I just did that for my dad. I got him a Sujihara bar. So he was running his Husky 257 a lot, and he loves that saw, but it has an 18-inch bar on it. So I went to a 20, which is a lighter bar, and he'll be fine with that. Does it have lots of power? No, but he's not going to be dogging that thing in and heave-hawing on it, so a 20 is fine. One of the biggest concerns with bars is not whether the saw has the power. Power is an issue, but that's not usually the biggest concern. The biggest concern is whether or not it can oil the bar. So the benefit to 394s is that you have these oilers on here that just oil like crazy. for sake of this, I can put that on there. Now I have to find bar nuts. I don't even know if I have appropriate bar nuts. Who knows? Oh. Oh, most definitely, I'm getting low on bar nuts, so here's one. This one here, this is two. Just need to put the carburetor in and hopefully she's good to go, assuming this coil's good. Okay. I think that's that on this for now. Yep, that's right, Vince. You got it. Need to check elsewhere on my bar nut status. Okay. Let's get back to the 350. Let's see where that takes us. Just clean up this stuff and we'll work on the 350. Bring pretty good here for the moment. I don't know what the battery life is here on this. Plug that back in though. All right. Dumb reason I still don't have. Still don't know where my calipers went. That's particularly frustrating. Not in here. Well, whatever. never got a chance to look for them, so. There's no way this only goes down that far. I just had the tap in here. So you have to make sure these screws do not bottom before the head gets fully seated. Oh yeah, this is super fun. So this 350, the head bolts came loose. So not near as much fun as you think. Right, so that's enough there to be fine. So make sure I save the head bolts, whatever I'm using for head bolts. They get saved in the order that they go in, you know. That's fine there. That may need a washer. Okay, there we go. So now I have my head bolts. Now we have to take and clean this. Obviously, it would have been better to clean the saw before, but I didn't know what was going to happen, so I may need to go get more Q-tips. So yeah, this is not what comes to mind when I think of fun, but whatever. This is just brake cleaner. This surface needs to be degreased. Okay. So that surface is pretty clean. And now I'm going to put the 1184 on this. Get that tacking. More fun than being at work. Yeah, well, depends on what you do for work. Of course, I forgot to put the Loctite on here. The most crucial spots on here are the sides, because it's the thinnest, and right here in the front, right by where the impulse hole comes up. There we go. Hey, Adirondacks. I've got stuff here. Let's see, what did I have? I had a gasket. It was here. Well, that's going to annoy me. Had a gasket. All this stuff together. Where would the gasket have run off to? okay, Chris? Everything good? Okay. Maybe putting the 1184 on there was premature. Here. I wouldn't have thrown it too far. Oh my God. You're supposed to be like, Matt, laying on top of the saw. Thanks, Travis. Yes. Oh my God. Thank you. Is that not a gasket laying on top of the saw? Yes. I knew I put it right here. Hi, Adirondacks. Hi, Travis. Thank you for pointing out my ineptitude. Let's put a little grease on the piston pin bearing here. I knew it. I knew I put it somewhere close. Not that far away. All right. The dumb thing is I haven't cleaned up the head yet, so I better do that in a hurry. Right? Right. Sit there. Okay. Hello?
Hey, we're calling with a family home security.
Actually, the head's really not that bad, so. Travis, I actually wish more people did that. Sometimes some stuff is just right in front of me. I wish more people were able to say, hey, Matt, you're an idiot. Right in front of you. Oh, I've already got this. 220. Just going to get some sandpaper here and clean up the head just a little bit, and then I'll be able to put the brand new piston in. And that was my 5-year-old sneaking a popsicle, I think. have light? Where did that go? I don't have light. Well, that went. Just taking some 220 grit here on my Dremel. You have to push pretty hard to get through the plating. You don't really need to worry about that. Junkyard. So this is a Bosch tool with a pencil attachment, Black & Decker pencil attachment. I got this back when I was in college. In fact, this is probably one of the first gifts that my wife, or who became my wife, got for me. But it was part of a really cheap Black & Decker set, and I've had it since then. So that was 1999, year 2000, somewhere in there. Had this almost 20 years, and it still works fine. But the Bosch tool, it's a cordless Bosch tool, and I got this on eBay. I had to import it from Italy because they didn't sell it here in the United States. I don't know the current status on it, but I do like it. Yeah, where do I get all the wonderful toys? Yep, eBay. Yeah, the thing that's nice about this is it has the same batteries that this tool does. So And I have an oscillating tool that goes with it also. Um, Instead of a fine tool, it's an oscillating tool that's cordless, and it's just fine. You know, it works good. So a couple of score marks in there, but they're not too deep. Really not going to worry about it. You'll lose a little bit of compression with that, but won't be a big deal. And this is just Scotch-Brite on a ball. Actually, here, this is a better piece. If you can get it in there. Yeah, again, not perfect, but that will certainly do. I'm just going to go give this a quick wash. And always inspect the impulse line. This little stretch here has a tendency to crack and break. This is still soft, so something to blow through it. Good. Okay. Make sure there's no junk in there. All right, let's get the piston. Am I hiring? My wife needs a job. No. I have basically no power at the job where I'm at right now. Yes, I am the dentist, but I am not powerful in that sense. Meteor piston, Caber ring. The positioning pin goes towards the intake. These are pretty easy to put in here, so that's good. Usually the piston pins are best inserted from the flywheel side. So I'm going to put this right in the clutch side. The Meteor piston, how much does it cost? This was like 30, 35 bucks, I forget. Something like that. I actually have to come from the other side. Click. Okay. And the opening is either face down or up if you've got these pin clips. Selling oranges in the corner. Sorry. Just certain things I can't help you with, James, you know? Good Scotch-Brite. Sorry. So I've got the piston started in here. I've got one of the circlips in, and I've got the 1184 on everything. Now I can bring the saw back up here. The reason that it's easier from the flywheel side is because you have more room over here to get in. Assuming a lot of things, actually. Assuming you're trying to put the piston in first, which may or may not be a good idea in this case. Sorry, Travis. It's good, actually. Travis is the channel police. That's fine. That works for me. Now, the reason why you put the pin bearing or the piston in first is because often it's actually easier to do. It's easier to do like that because you actually get to see the rings, but it makes it harder to put the circlip in. So there's that. You can actually do the rings easier by putting the piston in first and then putting the wrist pin and then the circlip. But then you got to get the circlip in, and this is often the hard part. So dive in with the lower push. Yeah, click. Beautiful. Sorry guys, this takes having this tool and practice. It's really not a good way for me to show you what I'm doing because this really is about feel more than anything. So pliers with a teeny tiny little half moon cut out of each side so you can actually grab the circlip, and the pliers have to be ground down so it fits in the slot. There's a slot in the piston. Here, I'll show you. Ah, no slot in this one. So often there's a relief cut in right about here, and you can actually use this to dive into that relief right on the side. Not here. Great. Whatever. Okay. Now you can move this to bottom dead center and set it on down. "19 people watching this morning. Who's on? Who came on?" where my other stinking hemostats went. Stuff up and out of the way. Make sure everything's kind of out of your way. The partition has to sit just in the right spot. That I can go back and get in a minute. Usually try to get a bolt started. Ooh. Sometimes I make things look easy, and other days you get a bolt stuck in your flywheel. Fully in there. Great. A little bit of grease on the end of the bolt. Now I've already got the red Loctite in there. As long as you land this here, which I did. Okay. And this one on this side. This one's a little trickier because this is in the way, the AV mount. Circlips are one of those things that is hard pretty much no matter how many times you've done it. Assuming you don't have the tool, you know, there's all kinds of tools that you can have. This plastic thing, I've got that on the wrong side. Shoot, I don't even know if I can get that around. Before I fully tighten this, maybe I should loosen it and pull that out just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just enough to do that. There we go. That's all I needed. There we go. This stupid primer bulb line all right, we'll get to that. This one first. I'm not going to fully torque these here for a minute because I got to find that other bolt. Which, will it show up here? Or do I have to pull this off? I got to pull it off. Now we can take these to final tightness. Use this for a second here just to look. Just making sure I have the squeeze out that I want. That better be good. Yeah, the washers are all tight. Okay. Because again, if the bolt bottoms before you cinch up the head, no good. So it'll be fine. Go back to you guys here. Okay. So now, connect everything up. Need a screwdriver to put these rubber mounts, the plastic in the rubber mounts essentially. And I've always dreamed about making some type of a shoehorn for this. Just never done it. There's one. There's two. They're not that difficult to do. Just a bit of a pain. So your kill wire goes on here. Actually, no, let's do the primer first. Primer bulb. Of course, I'm assuming that silly thing is still attached. Which it might not be. gas line. Yep, I guess it brings fuel up. That's good. Yep, it's still attached. The vent's still there. That's fine. Okay. Let's put our starter cover back on. This is all kinds of dirty, but whatever. Jesus. Great. Stripped. Make sure none of the others are stripped. And the obvious question is, how do you fix a stripped plastic case? And the answer is with heat. My soldering iron and a little bit of string trimmer line does it. Duct tape, no. But I like the way you're thinking. Not my idea. This was not my idea. Somebody on the forum mentioned it. I don't remember who, but somebody mentioned it, and it does indeed work. But I cannot take credit for. Which does bring up an important, I think, principle, and that is the principle of credit where credit's due. I'm a big fan of giving people credit for, something that they come up with. If it's not my idea, I try to let you guys know that it wasn't my idea, it wasn't something I came up with. So I think credit where credit's due is an important principle. I really do. Yeah. Don't think this will go in. Will it go in? No. Not quite. A little bit bigger. This is a Husky 350, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. That might be too big. I hope it's not. Still stripped. Shucks. Oh, this pulled out. That's why. That stupid drill bit pulled the whole chute out that I just did. Great. Try it again. Go inside too. Not going to use that drill bit again. Back to 1/8, and then want to go all the way through. I just want to this effectively goes now. think once it gets started, it'll just go. Wish I had a Dremel tool. Oh yeah, I do. Now let's see if she holds. You don't want to make sure that you want to make sure that the pawls are not engaged in the wrong way as you're doing this. She holds torque. Leave it. Okay. So what else do I have? The muffler. I've got two brand new muffler bolts to put on here. Now the one thing I don't have, unfortunately, the screen's clear, by the way. The one thing I do not have is the chain brake handle. I ordered a new one, so I do not have that currently. Okay. for a fresh red Loctite. I do use red Loctite on the muffler bolts. Sometimes it helps. Oh shoot! I forgot my. Forgot this part. That goes on first, then the muffler bolts. Right. So this is actually a 346 XP stabilizer, and you cut off one of the legs because you don't need that one. Why did that bottom out early? That's weird. Because these bolts are slightly longer. That's why. OEM bolts. What's the problem? Let's do tap here. I got an idea. Oh, it'll go. should really be nothing preventing the bolts from going plenty further in there, you know? Thanks, James. You take care, okay, buddy? Come back anytime. I hope your wife gets a job at the orange stand. You guys. Yeah, that's tight. Just needed the old Roto-Rooter treatment. Great. Okay. There's a bolt that goes here on the side. This guy. And the dog, really. Okay. What else? I can put the top handle on, but is there really any point? Or top cover? How about the air filter? This puppy's a little clogged. Yikes. I'll be back. Oh, just so everybody knows, you can, there are two tabs right here, and you just go like that. You can pull your air filter apart and clean it. better. Click it back together. Okay. Throttle. Under, throttle forward, or yeah, throttle itself forward, throttle shaft forward. Bring the wire up and over and under. To capture that. Then we've got this that goes on. Click. Good. Yeah, I guess we can put the top cover back on, doesn't really matter. Good. This can go on. Still don't have the chain brake handle because I'm still waiting on it, unfortunately. Don't forget this little piece. Goes in here.